It's 9 p.m. and you still haven't had 1 minute to yourself today. Breakfast made and served, backpacks packed. A quick game of who can get dressed the fastest because you were already running late. Then work, then home, dinner made and served, playtime, this toy, that snack, one more glass of water. And now it's 9 p.m. and you're standing in the same kitchen, getting ready to do it all over again tomorrow. And that's when it hits you. That's why you snapped at your daughter earlier. That's why you were short with your son. Not because something is wrong with you, because there was never a minute in the day that was actually yours. I'm Cindy Macmillan, a licensed child therapist and a mom of two. And I've spent years sitting with parents in this exact same situation. Here's the thing. Self-care isn't a luxury you earn after everything else is handled. It's not a candle and bubble bath. It's the infrastructure that your entire parenting runs on. Think about it this way. You cannot pour regulation into your child from a body that has nothing left to give. Kids don't just hear our words, they read our nervous systems. So when you're regulated, they borrow your calm. And when you're running on empty, they feel that too, even if you never say a word. So every time you skip your own needs for the sake of the family, you're not actually protecting your family. You're quietly removing the one resource your child depends on most, a regulated adult. That's the cost of ignoring this. And that's why today I want to give you realistic, doable ways to refill without adding just one more task to an already impossible list. So let's jump in. First, you have to actually claim the time, not just hope it appears. Think about how many things get an automatic slot on your calendar. Practice, music lessons, the dentist. Nobody debates whether those happen. They just go on the calendar and life moves around them. Your own recovery time and self-care needs to work the same way. Not vague, I'll reset when I can. An actual, specific, protected slot, even if it's 5 to 10 minutes. A few minutes of quiet before anyone needs anything from you. A walk around the block after dinner while somebody else handles what's going on at home. It doesn't need to be big. It needs to be guaranteed. Here's the mindset shift that you need to make. Stop asking, do I have time for this? And start asking, where does this go on the calendar? One is optional. The other is a plan. Second, you were never meant to do this without backup. Parenting a strong-willed, big feelings kid can feel like a really lonely job, especially when it seems like every other family has it together. They don't, by the way. They're just not posting the hard parts. There's real research behind this. Parents who feel supported by other people are able to stay warmer, steadier, and more consistent with their kids, even in the genuinely hard seasons. So connection isn't a soft extra. It's protection. You don't need 20 friends. You need a few people that get it without a long explanation. One text thread, one discussion group, one parent at pickup who gives you the, yep, me too look. This is actually the exact reason I built the Parent Connection Circle, because trying to regulate your own nervous system completely alone is so much harder than doing it alongside other parents who are in the thick of it with you too. So if you want to learn more about it, check out the link in the description below. Third, your brain is lying to you about how your day actually went. Not on purpose, it's just wired that way. Psychologist Rick Hansen describes our brains as Velcro for the bad moments and Teflon for the good ones. The hard stuff sticks, the good stuff just slides right off, unless you can catch it. So, if you only remember that moment at 5:45 when your kid had the big meltdown, and you never register the moment at 5:50 when your kid randomly hugged you for no reason, your brain is going to give you a distorted picture of your parenting. So this step is simple, but it's not passive. You have to actually pause and let the good moment register, even just naming it in your head. Saying something like, that was nice. 2 seconds, that's all it takes. Both things are true at once. Naming good stuff doesn't erase the hard moments, but it stops the hard moments from being the only story you tell yourself that day. Fourth, and this one might be the most important one, how you talk to yourself in those hard moments matter. Because if you're anything like most of the parents I work with, the inner voice after snapping at your kids sounds something like, "What is wrong with me? Why can't I just stay calm?" Here's what the research actually says, though. Kristen Neff has studied self compassion for decades, and parents who treat themselves with more compassion after hard moments report less stress and more well being. Not less accountability, less stress. Beating yourself up doesn't make you a better parent tomorrow. It just adds to the shame on top of the exhaustion. And shame doesn't regulate anybody's nervous system, including yours. So try this instead. The next time you snap or sigh or feel like you blew up, say to yourself what you'd say to a friend who told you the same story. Something like, "That was genuinely a hard moment. You're doing the best with what you had." Every time you choose one small piece of self care, a few minutes of quiet, an honest friend to talk to, one noticed good moment, 1 ounce of self compassion, you're not being selfish. You are directly and measurably changing what your child gets to experience at home. You're not just surviving the day, you're changing the emotional environment your child grows up inside of. That's not small, that's generational. You see, I don't want my children to look back and say, "My mom ran herself into the ground for us." And I don't want my children to do that when they are adults either. I want them to say, "My mom, she knew how to take care of herself so she could show up in a way she wanted for us." And that's just what I want my kids to do in their life later on. And on the flip side, running on empty indefinitely doesn't just cost you. It costs the connection you're working so hard to protect in the first place. So tell me in the comments, which one is hardest for you and what are you committing to doing this week? I read every single one, and I promise you, whatever you're struggling with, another parent reading this is nodding along too. If you want a place to actually practice this, not alone, but alongside other parents carrying something similar, that's exactly what I created the Parent Connection Circle for. The link is in the description below. And don't forget to hit like,